You are tuning into Donnie's podcast. With over 20 years experience in finance, this guy has done it all. From mortgages, corporate bonds, wealth management, insurance, and day trading. You name it. And he knows a few people that can give you the real deal. Sit back, relax, subscribe, and thanks for listening.
Jane, there you are. How are you today?
Great, thank you, Don.
I can't thank you enough for being on this today. That is so cool that you took time out of your day. So thank you, real quick, before we get started.
My pleasure.
I want to read you something. Can I read you something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Dear Don, take action today and achieve your goals, no matter what they are. Who said that to me? Is my question to you. First off.
Don't know who.
I know who. You did.
Ah,
You did.
awesome.
Yeah, totally. So I, as you know, I mean, you know this, but not everybody knows this. I have two daughters that are young, like under 5, and I collect like things from successful women to show them, to be like, hey, look, you know, like you can do this too. So I have your book, I have Stephanie's book. So it's I don't know, it was really neat, but I thought I would bring that up and say thank you, because you signed that at the Modern Trader Summit that you had in Orlando.
Yeah, that was very exciting. The first one I ever did. And thank you for participating as well, for being one of the first sponsors of what's now an annual event.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting, and going to be in Philadelphia, one of my old hometowns, one of my old haunts.
I can't wait to go to that one. I'm totally going to that one, and I can't wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. Yours, it was when I first started at Speed Trader, and I was good at building relationships, but I knew no one in day trading. Like, I knew of people, but I didn't know who they were. So I remember, like, I showed up to your conference with a bunch of these stress balls, okay? Yep. And I was like, you know, when you trade with Speed Trader, you won't need these stress balls. And Stephanie was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, like, find a new sales pitch. And I did. But I want to talk about the training pit.
Yeah, the training pit is awesome. So it really took me a while to really get into helping teach people learn how to trade on a daily basis. And it was thanks to Stephanie, because Stephanie was like, listen, you know, I've got the Java pit, which is awesome. I started that after my divorce, after my kids were older. And I really have this amazing room where these traders have really progressed, and they're speaking like a whole other language. It's really true. And we have new people that are coming in, but they have no idea even how to set up charts or necessarily what a stock is, but they want to get into it and they want to be profitable. So that's how the training pit came around. So it's very basic for people that really want to break into trading.
Okay. So when you are in that room, what are some of the top, first of all, like, how can people join it? I mean, can they literally just Google the training pit, and how does it work?
It's at thedarkpools.com, but I also post it quite often on Twitter and everywhere I am, all over social media. And it's very easy to get into. I mean, it's $99 a month, and that gives you 40 plus webinars, plus 24 access to the training pit. And you also can email us. There's 4 different teachers in there. We teach basics of, like, what's a stock, what's an IPO, who's the SEC. Somebody's just getting into day trading. You kind of need to know who's regulating it, right? So,
Totally.
You wouldn't believe it. I have a friend that learned how to day trade and had no idea what the SEC was. SEC, what's that?
So the way that it works, ready for this, is you want to know who they are, but you don't ever want to have to talk to them for any reason.
Right. Correct. You don't ever want to be getting a telephone call from them or a letter in the mail.
Yes, and yeah, it's kind of crazy. So
unless
cool.
they want you to go undercover, that might be fun.
which I don't have. I wouldn't be. I don't know how to do that. I wouldn't be able to do it. I would be so terrible at it. I would just be like, yeah, take me to jail, and like I'll do jail instead of going undercover. I don't know how to. You know what I mean? I'm like the furthest thing from like Perry Mason or whoever, like I don't know, insert undercover hero here. Like I would.
Right.
That's so funny. So the Modern Trader Summit was the summit. Actually, it was, I believe, when I was at Speed Trade. Well, when I had the my own, I have my own division now. But when I was at Speed Trader, I was hired to do business development. Yours was actually the first conference that I had attended. Let's talk about that for a while, and then we can come back to what you're doing with Stephanie, because I think that the whole thing is really great. But where did it come to be? What was the deciding point where you were just like, you know what, I want to put this on, and this is how I'm going to do it?
Well, I'm the type of person that when I say something, I go ahead and do it. Kind of like in the book when I inscribed it, right? Like just set that goal and take action and make it happen. So what happened was at my first conference that I was speaking at with Trade Ideas out in Carlsbad, then I said, oh, hey, I'm going to do a conference of my own. And so then I opened my mouth on stage. I was like, all right, I just got to do it. And it really came from a place I wanted to share and help other people, because I wanted to provide what I was looking for when I was first starting out.
Okay.
So all of it, like my sharing online, it was Twitter, with my blog, with my book, it was all everything that I wish that I had when I first started. So putting together the event was really a place, like I'd gone to Timothy Sykes the fall before, and I thought, you know what, this is great. However, it's just his point of view, really, from the people that he's working with. And I really wanted to create a place where you could get the viewpoints of lots of different people. So if you've ever read Momo Traders or Market Wizards, you know that when you hear everybody's backstory, everybody has something that they bring to the trading table that's a little different from someone else.
Right.
They have their journey that brought them to day trading. They have their own strategy. I mean, the basics are all there, like buy low, sell high, sell low, buy high, or buy low, excuse me.
Right.
Sell high, buy low. Yep. So the basics are all there, but everybody does it a little differently. You could line up 5 traders in a row and everybody's going to trade the same stock differently.
Yes, I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah, I agree 100%.
So having an event where everybody has something that's really their niche, that they're able to go ahead and enlighten people and say, hey, look, this is how I do it. This is how I'm really successful. Because for somebody that's new, you can get spammed with all these different marketing gurus. And really what it comes down to is who has the biggest pocket for the marketing budget to go ahead and get in front of the mass markets, as opposed to who has that strategy that's going to click with that one individual person. There's not one strategy for everybody, because
I agree.
Everybody has different risk tolerances. They have different capital. They have different times that they can be in the market, different times they can do the research. So there's not just one that will be a blanket for everybody. And you want to find that trading edge for yourself.
You know, I agree with you 100%. Now we have to put the disclaimer in, because you live in Canada, so you do not have an account with me, right?
Correct.
I mean,
yeah, for sure. Right. Yeah, no account.
Yeah. So that I forgot to do that, and I think I just made our compliance guy smile. Shout out to Mark Jordan. So that's pretty
all right,
awesome.
Mark. And we'll also give this. Trading has varying degrees of risk, with trading all sorts of securities instruments, and no past performance is indicative of future performance.
I love it. I love it. That is so cool. That is so awesome. Let me ask you this: when getting back to what Stephanie's doing in the training pit, right? So I was talking to another guy from another room who was actually part of, he was part of Iconic Traders, and he was saying that watching what being the face of the room does can have varying, effects on the leader of the room. So, he was talking about some of those struggles that, Cameron is facing right now with that business, and, making sure that people are off to the right start. Has there been any noticeable difference since you have taken on this role in Stephanie's trading? Has there been a noticeable difference in like what she's doing, or is it just kind of same old thing? You know, she's there, she's going. How do you see that?
I'd say no, Stephanie, as far as being in the room, it was really developed from trying to help people
Yep.
get their foundation before they got into the Java pit, right? Because the Java pit was really more advanced. And so the training pit came from a place of, hey, let's go ahead and educate everybody. So they're not just getting thrown with all this higher information that they might not have any idea about. I mean, if somebody's coming in and they're saying, hey, I don't know what an IPO is, or what's the ex-dividend date, and why is this important? You know, if you're trading options and then all of a sudden the stock's going to go ahead and drop down and then the premium already has that built into it. Those are things that you need to understand before you go ahead and you start jumping into options. So there's a lot of things to help educate people from the beginning. And I think it's really helped the Java pit and also helped Stephanie because it's alleviated the necessity for her to just give the basics. And it's more of a high-tech room where we're all working together to profit and all shouting out things to help each other.
You know, it's interesting that you should say education, because I track metrics on my end too, all kinds of them. And one of the things that I could tell you was a couple of years ago, if I had 20 people come in with accounts, I would know that probably 15 of them would not do so well within the first month, and one of them would do really well within the first month. That's kind of the metrics that I saw, and that's not unsubstantiated. That's actually, I don't know if it's like that for the direct competitors. I don't know if it's like that for, so for example, I'm speaking for me. I'm not speaking for, you know, Cobra or Centerpoint or any other house. I'm speaking from me, right? But now it seems like if I take 20 applications in, right, you know, 15 of them won't do so well. One of them will do really well, but all of them will have their own trader education service by the end of like the first or second month, right? So my question to you is when we talk about like the model of education, the room model of education, like where do you see that going? I mean, are there any changes on the horizon? What do you think?
With you're talking about the training pit in general?
I'm talking about
training overall for different rooms.
I feel like there are some, I mean, I've seen courses that are like $14,000, $15,000 for like a trading course. And I'm like, wow, that's a lot of, what do you know what I mean? What are you doing? But it seems like there's a lot of rooms out there today, you know, chat rooms out there.
Right.
What makes the pit so different?
I think the big difference about the pit is we're also a really positive environment. So if people come in and negativity really isn't allowed, and we also understand the psychological aspect of being a new trader,
right,
and having people in the background, maybe your friends, your family, that aren't there supporting you, that were really there cheerleaders to help you succeed. And number one thing we say is do not trade with real money, paper trade, until you figure it out, whether you are rebooting or whether you're learning from the get-go. Go ahead and become consistent and profitable on paper before you start throwing money in the market, because you know what, the market doesn't care. It will take your money, and you don't want to pay more market tuition than you have to. So it's you know, for those that are like 14,000, 6,000, 8,000, how much do they care about that person that they're selling it to? You know, do they care to see them succeed in the market overall, or do they just want to sell them a sales pitch?
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And I have said this so many times, and actually, believe it or not, I have to give the source of the quote because it's not mine. The source of the quote was Guy Gentile. All right, so get that right out of the old. But this is what he said. He said there is no 1, 2, 3. You know, he says the only 1, 2, 3 out there is that 1, you go to the website, 2, you click buy, and 3, they make money. Right? That's the 1, 2, 3. So I think it's important to put that out there. You know, my gosh, I mean, I think that when we talk about people that are in rooms and that are training and that are coaching, and I think that's a lot of thankless work. I mean, has it affected your trading at all?
Well, when I'm in the pit teaching, I
Mhm.
try not to be in any trades because as a mom, it's like I'm caring about the people that I'm teaching, and I don't want to be distracted and be like, uh-oh, what's going on over here? Sorry, guys. I'm going to devote my time um, to the people that I'm helping because that's why they're there, and that could just be me as a person
Right.
because honestly, I get satisfaction out of helping people. That's how everything that I've shared comes about. It's not let me look at the bottom line. It's let me try to help people because that's the biggest reward in life. Money comes and goes, it doesn't matter. But when you get a testimonial or you get a response back from someone that's like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. You know what? Today I had my first profitable trade. I really appreciate that.
That's
And
awesome.
I've just given them the tools, they've done the work.
So that's great. Let me ask you this: when you are in a trade, what do you have a mental setup of what you do? And I'm not asking you to give away the secret sauce. I mean, you're well within your right to say, get out of here, whatever. But is there a mental checklist that you do? I mean, walk me through your mental confirmation for stepping into and out of the market.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's like I always explain too when I'm in the training pit. If you want to go on a road trip, you're going to look at a map and you're going to go ahead and map out that trip, right? So
Okay,
you know where you're starting, you're going to know where you're exiting. And if you take a wrong turn and you go in the wrong direction, how far are you going to go in that wrong direction before you turn around and you go the right way, right? So it's the
100%.
same thing with a trade. How far are you going to let it go against you before you're going to go ahead and get out, or you're going to turn around and you're going to flip your position? Because if you're the way that we trade around the dark pools, if you have the people that have billions of dollars and you're on the wrong side of the trade, guess what? You're going to get screwed hardcore.
Yes, you
So
are.
really, really quickly, you need to go ahead and flip that position or get out altogether. Just wait for another setup.
Yeah. So, okay, without giving away what Stephanie's doing with the dark pools, because I, okay, so here's a, and I'm nuts, so it's okay, right? But 20 years in this business will do that to you. Stephanie is the who. And here's what I mean by the who, all right? Without knowing like what kind of music the person who's watching this right now listens to, or without, right? We all remember a time when bands played in bars, right? And you could always say, oh, this guy sounds like he's trying to sound like Led Zeppelin, or these guys are trying to be like, whoever, right? The Fray, whatever, Pearl
Mhm.
Jam, whoever it is. You've never heard somebody say, hey, check this band out. These guys sound like The Who, right?
That's true. That's true.
You've never heard somebody say, okay, so my point is with the dark pools, she was the only one that was doing it for so long. I mean, I gotta believe, like I couldn't. I was like, wow, this is such a great idea. Let me ask you this: when you trade the dark pools, give me the concept of it. I mean, like the 30,000 foot view. Again, you don't have to give all the
Yeah,
stuff.
no. I mean, it's pretty basic, right?
Uh huh.
We see a big block trade come in,
Yep.
and say we had an example of one today.
Okay.
And if you actually go to Stephanie, the stock whisperer on Twitter, you can see she's putting it out because the app is getting an update right now. So it's 1.8 million shares of H&R Block. And I think that the amount was 23.50. Maybe no, it
Okay.
was right at 23, because I remember I was teaching and I put it on the chart.
Okay.
So we've got 1.5 million or 1.8 million that came in at $23. Now,
Mhm.
looking at the chart, you map it out. You have a bullish above level. If it breaks above there, then likely they were buying. You
Okay.
have a bearish below level. If it breaks below that point, likely they were selling, and you follow their coattails. You go ahead and you say, all right, 1.5 or 1.8 million of a $23 stock.
Right.
It's going to be what, like 34 million? No, it's more than that. Probably like 42 million,
Yeah.
whatever.
Whatever the
So
number is. Right.
do you
Okay.
want to be following those guys that have put 42 million or whatever it is into the trade, or do you want to go against them? Like it's pretty easy, right? If you start seeing 11 million shares of the SPY printing
Right.
and you see that that's above you, that's pretty easy to know that that was selling, right?
Yes.
And do you want to go against the billions of dollars that's going to take for that 11 million print? or 15 million print or 20 million print that we start seeing in sometimes. Last Boxing Day, December 26th, there was a massive buying, and it all showed up in the prints. And you can see the bottoms and you can see the tops based on their big prints. And you just follow them, right? If you start to see that they're buying, you just keep that below you. And long term, that's bullish, right? You go ahead and you start seeing, okay, maybe there might be a lot, say, of Baba that was printed, and maybe it starts to roll down the hill. You think they were buying? Probably not. They were probably going ahead. We've had lots of prints coming in on all the gold indexes. We've had a lot of prints coming in on FXI, the Chinese index. So lots of things go hand in hand. We always see that there's money flow as well. These big guys, they don't want their money just sitting in their pockets. No, they always want it working for them. Right. So they're going to go ahead and take it out of one position, and they're going to go ahead and flip and turn it into another.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible. That's actually, I know that there was a lot of guys on the street that kind of tracked it to see this being taken mainstream and given to the average investor is really kind of uplifting. I think that's really, really cool. That's awesome. But I want to talk now about your new conference that you have coming up in Philadelphia.
Yep. Well, we're going to be doing it July 12th and 13th, so expanded to a second day with live trading in the morning. Okay. And we are going to have some great speakers. I'm not going to reveal who they are just yet. Okay. Slowly going to roll them out. But it's going to be like before, great speakers that care to see the traders succeed. Not so much that they're worried about the money in their pocket, but really giving back and helping people. A lot of the people that I bring into the conferences all have that same mindset, that they really want to help to see people improve. They're not just worried about selling a training pitch to somebody. And so this year, I'm really, really excited because I lived in Philadelphia for 10 years too. And I just got in touch with a former real estate client of mine that is a market maker at the Phillies Option Exchange. So I'm going to set up. Yeah, I'm seeing if I can set up a tour, which is really cool. I'm really excited about that, hopefully.
I believe, and I could be wrong, I don't want to be wrong, but I believe they are still open outcrier, correct? Philly?
I don't know. I have to do more research just because I realized through LinkedIn, the glory of LinkedIn. I was like, oh my gosh, no way. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally. He's an options market maker. So we'll see.
That's awesome. Speaking of LinkedIn, the whole social media aspect of trading, do you get any ideas from social media? And if so, where can people find you on social media? Like I know your Twitter handle and all that stuff, but where can people find you?
Yeah, well, I changed it. I had too many little trolls trying to impersonate me and scam people for money, which I'm sorry for anybody that got scammed that way. But on Twitter, it's Airplane Jane. And then I'm also on Facebook, on Instagram, LinkedIn as well, YouTube with Airplane Jane, my blog, CJ Trade, that's pretty easy to remember. And honestly, I don't use social media or the news that much for looking or getting any ideas. Mostly it's in the morning. I'm looking at trade ideas to go ahead and see the stocks. I love the way that everything is set up with their scanner so that I can go ahead and sort everything and I see all the attributes that I want to see just in a split second.
Right.
And then it's really the dark pool prints and looking at that. And also I use TradingView where I can also see the point of control for the day, so I can see where that big volume also is, because I trade more around volume than price action, because if you think about it, basic supply and demand, that volume is going to drive the price action. If you have large demand, what's it going to do?
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly where you're going with this. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think is really funny about the whole thing is that, just as you said in the beginning, everyone's different. Everybody looks for, different spots of the trade. I was talking to, I had Brian Rivera. Absolutely. So are you doing small cap, or do you kind of spread it apart across the board?
Very rarely, because obviously, the cost of borrows have gone up. It's the nature of the beast has changed over time. And so what worked a couple of years ago is not the same as it is now. I mean, I remember before, you know, when I was trading maybe 15, 16, 17, around that time frame, you know, a small cap stock would run up 100%, 200%. By the end of the day, it's flat, you know, it's red.
Yeah.
And, you know, you can kind of hold stuff, you know, pretty easily. Now it's like, man, you got to get in and get out, or, you know, it's different beast. And so, yeah, I'm married, I got kids, you know, I run a business, you know, I'm just trying to make the least amount of stress-free money possible. And so, you know, I feel, you know, all trading carries risk, right? So it's really just about what's your comfort zone. And I found that, you know, the large caps, you know, have suited me well.
Who was actually at your, matter of fact, it's so funny. We were going, I had him on, and he was like, yo, I met you at Jane's conference in Orlando. It was hilarious. But he and I were going over what we do, and he's like, how do you do? And I was like, listen, I'm, you know, I'm not going to say how old I am, but I'm in my 40s, and my risk tolerance is nothing like it was 20 years ago. I've been doing a lot of covered calls lately, you know, and it's just goes back to what you're saying, that everybody has a different strategy. Everybody has a different risk tolerance. But I feel like everyone should know the basics, you know, and it's good to see that you're out there teaching people about them. That is so cool. Let me ask you this, with trade ideas, how do you feel about the AI element of trading? And do you feel you're up against any algos at any certain point in time?
Oh, for sure. You can definitely see the algos, especially, well, the NASDAQ, you know, was back in the 80s, was established, and it was the first electronic exchange. Mm-hmm. You can see so much spoofing on the bid and the ask. And I saw it on the level 2 before I really knew it was the first electronic exchange. So that goes back to education, right? So I started seeing it. I was like, I don't really like NASDAQ stocks because they seem like they're more manipulated. Because you can see when there's a fake bid or fake ask, or if they're spoofing and they're holding it there, they're refreshing on the level 2. So you can definitely see it in reading the level 2 and the time and sales. And also, if you ever look at a chart, and we have a lot of different moving averages that we use, it sort of gets busy on the chart. But when you start to see that the stocks have a personality, and potentially the algorithms are set to buy or sell at a certain EMA or SMA, and you see it stop there, like to the penny, you start to trust it. And then you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to leave that on my chart because that can really help me make money. That's and you know that it's going to go ahead and abide by those EMAs and SMAs, and the algos are written for sure. I mean, as far as trade ideas, I think it's a great tool, especially for new traders, where they can look at it and they can learn from it. They can learn from the different strategies, especially now that they have the descriptions out there for the reason of why those algos were written.
Do you trade futures at all?
I do not. I watch the futures, but I do not trade them.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't do futures trades. You know, again, so interesting stuff. Well, I think that's just about all the time that we have for today. But I did want to say thank you very much for coming on today. And I want to reiterate it that the book is FMJ. I don't know if I could say the title on my blanket, what the title stands for, right? We all get it, what it stands for. The book is on Amazon. Is it on Amazon?
It is on Amazon, yeah.
Oh, very cool. And the, what is it? God, it's like I lost my brain for half a second there. Philadelphia Conference, the Modern
Trader Summit.
Yes, is the 12th and 13th of July. That's what I thought. Very cool. Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you so much for everything today. You're the best. Oh, you know what is like a little tradition I started doing? I'm asking everybody that I have on when they're coming to New York. So are you going to be in New York anytime soon?
In New York, probably next December with my little one. The next trip is Philly, and then Orlando in November. You want to come down and run a race with me?
Yeah,
I'm going to get a bunch of traders together. First weekend in November, I'm going to do a race, whether you could do a 5K, a 10K, or a half marathon. And
what I'm going to do? The half marathon is what you're doing?
If my body will allow it. I re-injured a herniated disc and SI joint, so we're going to see. I'm getting back into it, doing some physio stuff right now, but going to aim for the half marathon. But I'm also going to try to put it out on YouTube, like a training schedule for people so they can learn how, just like in trading, you have to have discipline, and training for a marathon or half marathon or 5K takes discipline, right? So it's all part of that, all work coming together.
So, okay, so I have been running. I mean, I'm in Connecticut. You're up north of me.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like the Northeast, I was talking to somebody, I was talking to Matt from Iconic Traders on my first, and I was like, when are you coming to New York? He's like, I don't know. He goes, it gets too cold. And I was like, aren't you in Vancouver? Like, what do you mean it gets too cold? Wow, that's too cold for you? So we have the treadmill. I have been running. I started a new program. So I'll talk to Nicole. Maybe what I will do. I'm only built for the 5K. I'm not like a half marathon.
You can do it.
You know,
and the girls are coming too. My girls are coming. We're probably going to do Halloween Horror Nights the weekend before. So we're going to make a nice week trip out of it.
That sounds so cool. Well, yeah, definitely. You know what I'll do? I'll message you about that, and we'll set that up. But thank you so much for being on today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Don. Always a pleasure.
You got it, Jane. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.